This is the AC-130 gunship, which can be divided into several parts. Inside this nose is a radar. Just behind it lies the flight deck, where the pilot and co-pilot operate the plane. Moving further back, we have the fuselage. Within it, you'll find the battle management station, which is used by the command system officer and weapons system officer to control the autocannon and the 105mm howitzer. This left-hand controller adjusts the position of the sensor or camera. Meanwhile, the right-hand controller is for firing the guns. We'll also dive into the step-by-step process of how they load the rounds and the basic process of arming the guns. In all of the videos ahead, so stay tuned and don't miss a beat. This is the MC-130, which stands for Multi-Mission Combat Transport. They gave it a serious upgrade, transforming it into the AC-130J Ghost Rider. Yes, you heard me right, they turned a cargo plane into a beast of the skies. While the AC-130J is an upgraded version of the famous Spooky gunship. The AC-130 Spooky packs mainly three primary armaments. First up, we've got the 25mm Gatling gun, capable of delivering some serious firepower. Then there's the 40mm Bofors gun, which can lay down a barrage of explosive rounds. And last but not least, the mighty 105 howitzer, a true game changer. While the latest version, the Ghost Rider, is armed with only two armaments, the 25mm Bushmaster cannon and the same 105mm howitzer. But there's a lot more, like the addition of Hellfire missiles and a small diameter bombs attached to both its wings, added due to the changing battle scenarios. Also note, they literally took this 105mm howitzer used by the Army, removed its wheels, shield, and legs, and re-engineered it to fit inside this AC-130, turning it into a gunship. They also removed most of the parts from this naval gun and Bradley fighting vehicle, the famous 30mm Bushmaster, to fit inside this plane. Let's enter the plane by opening this door, which leads to a small passage and stairs that take us to the cockpit. These right here are the pilot, co-pilot seat, and an extra seat just for you. As you can see, almost all the analog instruments are updated with screens and digital fly-by-wire systems. We've got not one, not two, but three HUDs in this cockpit. One of them is right here on the side of the pilot's seat, and it's used to align the target with the guns. Moving to the back is the fire and control system of this gunship. On the left is the combat system officer. In short, they are called CSO, while on the right is the weapons system officer. The sensor located at the nose of the aircraft is responsible for projecting the data for the combat system officer, while the sensor on the right is for the weapons system officer to control the 105mm howitzer as well as the 30mm Bushmaster autocannon. This is also a battle management strategy and targeting system planned from this small cabin. It is basically a sniper room as shown from this animation. Speaking of strategy, planning, and sniper targeting command technology, you can experience that through Warpath and Metal Slug 3 collab drop. Warpath weapon system contains all the well-known tanks, rifles, artillery, and fighter jets in real life. There are 104 types of tanks, 34 types of artillery, and 27 types of infantry armaments for players to choose from. Now the SV-001 from Metal Slug 3 has joined Warpath's new battlefield. It's tough, versatile, and has a 9% combat bonus. Step into the role of a commander, recruiting elite officers, leading diverse troops, engaging in diplomacy, and expanding territories through warfare. You can also engage in an awesome sniper mode to completely kill the enemy silently in the dark and win the mission by indirectly helping the base camp. There are some exciting crossover and classic favorites. Meet Marco Rossi and Eri Kasamoto, the newest recruits to the Warpath army. Marco Rossi has 10% crit that wreaks havoc, the paralyzing hacks and approach for 18% melee chaos, while Eri Kasamoto has heightened damage, defense, and combat effectiveness. When troops are low on health, they gain a 5% additional damage boost. The famous notorious boss, Huge Hermit, are all included in this new collab just for you. Choose a character, conquer missions, and score cash rewards for top players. We have an offer for you guys. Invite friends for extra cash and game items. Join now before it's too late. This beast of the skies has an overall length of 29.3 meters, towering to a height of 11.9 meters, and has a massive wingspan of 39.7 meters. This monster can handle a payload of up to 42,000 pounds. To help you understand its size, let's compare this to an average human. As you can see, it's almost 2 stories tall. Even better, let's compare this to an average SUV. Looks like it can stack 5 of these in the cargo bay. Moving forward, we have the iconic tuple of Tu-95 bomber. Next in line, we got the American Boeing B-52 Stratofortress strategic bomber. And finally, the famous Antonov cargo plane, which is a true giant of the skies. Let's start from the front. Opening the nose of this plane is the radar that can rotate left or right. It has different modes. One of them is the synthetic aperture radar, while the skin paint mode provides a clutter-free display and automatic tilt and gain operations. The last is the ground or weather map mode. It's a form of radar that is used to create two-dimensional images or three-dimensional reconstructions of objects, such as landscapes, helping the pilot become more aware in the dark. But keep in mind that there is a complicated calculation that helps to regulate all this by using the inboard flaps, located on both sides of the wings. Just beside it is the one-piece outboard parallel flaps that produce a decent amount of lift. And finally, we have the ailerons that help in flying this huge gunship to take those tight turns. This is probably the leading edge structure, or some call this the slats. This is the rudder attached to the tail, and just beside them are the two elevators. Let's take a closer look at the basic process of flying this plane. It's important to note that this is a fly-by-wire system. Once the airplane's speed reaches a certain level, the pilots activate the flaps and slats. This further increases the lift. When the airplane is ready for takeoff, they activate the elevators upwards. This tilts the airplane as shown in this animations and helps increases the angle of attack of the airfoil. As a result, the lift suddenly increases and the airplane takes off. Let's look at how this pilot must turn the plane to train his guns for this AC-130 gunship. As he turns the stick to the left, as shown in the animations, the ailerons on the right move down, producing a high lift, while the left ailerons move up, creating a low lift. This causes the plane to bank to the left, and hence you get this beautiful turn ready for the weapons system officer to fire his guns. Let's take a look at the step-by-step process how they fire this 105mm howitzer. Step 1. Verified rounds from the weapons system officer are loaded from this rack. Step 2. This controller on the left-hand side is used to adjust the position of the sensors or camera that is situated on the side of the WSO. While the controller on the right-hand side, however, is meant for firing the guns, which we will discuss later. Step 3. The pilot will leave a go-ahead with the consent switch in the cockpit and aligns the AC-130 gunship according to the target. Step 4. When the round is loaded and ready, he closes the breech just as shown in this animation. Step 5. The loader then hits F1 for confirmation, and then arm the 105mm howitzer. Step 6. Remember the trigger button. When all is set and done, he squeezes this button and booms open fire this 105mm howitzer. This bad boy can level down buildings and tanks from a range of 7 miles or more depending on the elevations. Step 7. The same goes for this 30mm Bushmaster. Combat System Officer and Weapons System Officer search for the target by using this left controller and fires the weapon using the right controller. When ready, he squeezes the trigger and booms open fires this cannon. It has an effective range of 5 miles or more depending on the elevation of the gun, obliterating any light armored vehicles or buildings. Let's simplify this process through this basic animations. This controller 1 on the left is used to adjust the position of the sensors or camera. On the right, there's a trigger for firing the guns. When it's time to fire the 105mm howitzer, the pilot initiates the process by aligning the gunship with the target using a consent switch. Once the round is loaded and ready, the loader closes the breech as demonstrated in the animation. Next, the loader hits F1 to confirm readiness and then activates the 105mm howitzer. With everything set, the WSO squeezes the trigger button, and the 105mm howitzer roars to life, opening fire. This AC-130, although a gunship, is still vulnerable to the Soviet-made surface-to-air missiles. In one incident, while the slow-moving gunship was providing air support to ground troops, a total of 3 surface-to-air missiles were fired at it from a distance. However, actions they took to evade the missiles, turning left and right, but it was no match to the fast-moving projectiles and was ultimately destroyed in seconds. As a result, the Air Force fitted this aircraft with the infamous Hellfire missile. The missile has a laser seeker on its nose that detects the laser light reflecting off the target. It's designed to seek and destroy tanks and other anti-aircraft weapons. On its other side of the wings are these small-diameter bombs also featured in a recent video. These gliding bombs can penetrate bunkers and hit targets at a range of 150 kilometers or 93 miles. But wait, there's more. The last countermeasure is the use of flares that light up the sky, earning it the name Angel of Death.
We make original 4K 3D animation with a small team of animators. Please support us by subscribing and dropping in a comment for more exclusive engineering animations made just for you guys.